Well, welcome everybody. Dr. Louise Swartzwalter here with another episode of our Roundtable Talks. This is the Brain Soul Success Show where we explore, learn, and create our powerful positive healing for life. So we are here for you, and I am here with my guests, these amazing women. And as we were just getting started today, we really had quite a few little bloopers we should have recorded. There was so much fun going on here behind the scenes. I think I just have to share a little bit of that right now. We had Sinclair, she was putting her makeup on in Zoom, and I was like, I do that a lot. It's like I last minute kind of thing, and I'm so sorry, Yolanda maybe broke the screen on her computer. Oh no. So we had to kind of clear some energy there. I don't know, we're going to be talking about, what we need to be doing during these times, during these, unprecedented times of COVID-19. I've taken a drink and coffee. And Trina, what are you doing over there?
I got some beer, but it's actually ginger beer. It's not.
She's
it's
got
not
ginger beer. So,
Wait a minute.
we think we're a good example for all of you.
This is the result of being on stay at home too long.
Yeah.
You're starting to lose it, and a lot of crazy stuff is just happening.
Climbing the walls.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we want to find out today. I want to find out from each of you. I'm going to have you introduce yourselves, how you and your family are doing, and, what helpful tools you may have that work for you, during this time where we're all quarantined, we're inside, and trying to find balance again in our lives. So Trina, why don't you start? Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody here?
Hi, I'm Trina Rice, and I just love being here with everybody. I am the co-creator of the Energetic Signature Formula and the Misfit Squad, where basically we help people embrace their differences and embrace their strongnesses instead of looking at what's wrong about you into looking at what is strong about you. So we work a lot with the empaths, the introverts, those who may be on the spectrum. So right now with all of this going on, everybody seems to have a higher level of anxiety and angst. So if you want any free tools, you are welcome to go to energeticsignatureformula.com, and there's actually a free PDF on there that you can get about ways to deal with anxiety and overwhelm.
Awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll have you share some of those too with all of us. Yeah. So thank you and welcome, Trina. I'm so glad that you're here. Yay. Welcome. And Yolanda, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone here?
Hello, everyone. I am Yolanda Haywood, and I usually work with high-performing individuals to help them break down the invisible walls that are holding them back. And I think that's such an irony considering many of us are finding ourselves behind walls right now. So I don't know if I'm very effective in helping you break them down. However, I really do love working with individuals and helping them gain emotional clarity, helping them get more worth intelligence, helping them just really move forward in life. I do it through all of the different tools in the toolbox, as well as a little custom spin that I have with some faith-based principles. So look forward to talking with the ladies today.
Oh, it's so nice to have you here. You're another powerful woman, powerful voice, and the work you're doing in the world too. Both of you, Trina and Yolanda, and we're going to hear from Sinclair here. Just awesome. So thank you for being here, Yolanda. Absolutely. Yeah, and you are good at breaking those walls down. I know. Yeah, I know you're good at that.
Until I'm on day 229 of stay at home.
Well, that's because you're counting. Oh my God.
I feel like it's day 229.
Oh my goodness. Well, maybe we can do some clearing here together. We're all powerful. Let's figure that out. Yeah. For all of us and for all of you who are listening out there. And Sinclair, share a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. I'm Sinclair Canale. I'm CEO of Vision Nation, where we create programs and tools for visionaries to detox to get to their best work. So it's like rapid weight reset, reclaim your brain. And you're all welcome to join our weekly dispatch right now, Self-Care for Visionaries, where we hand out a tangible tool each week to help us all get through this time.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. I love that tangible tool. And speaking of tangible tools, that's what we'd love to talk about today is, on everybody's minds and hearts, no matter if we try to distract us to go over somewhere over here, it still is the topic is, hey, we're home. We're quarantined, the COVID-19 virus is, flying around on the planet or whatever it's doing here. And so we've got to have tools to cope. So what are some of those tools? So Sinclair, do you want to start and share some of the tools that you have been sharing that might help some people through this time?
So because of our business and us being health coaches, this has been, of course, top of mind. And that's what all of our clients have been needing for the last couple of weeks. And we actually have a staff member who is now recovering from Corona and was able to avoid hospitalization due to some of our protocols, which is we're just really grateful. So there's a couple of tangible things that I want to take the time to talk about today. And I actually want to start with a framework of radical self-responsibility for your own health. Yes, the world is scary right now, but you have control over your own body and your own immune system. And there are so many choices you can make from the moment you wake up to when you go to sleep, and even what's in your bedroom at night to foster your sleep so that you are in charge of your family's outcome here. So I just want to start within that framework and invite us all to take a deep breath, because our central nervous system is what regulates absolutely every aspect of our immune system. So our job is to stay present and resourceful and remember that this is ours, and we get to love it up and nurture it in every way that we know how. So let's just start there, and we can dive into details throughout the call.
Love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Absolutely. That radical self-care message, so important. And breathing and balancing the nervous system. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I do a lot of that with my biofeedback tools and the whole brain system. So we're on the same page there for sure. I feel so called right now to help more people with that. Yeah. 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 Very good. Well, thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Sinclair. And anybody else here want to share a tool or a tip, something that has worked for you or maybe worked for your clients?
You look like you're thinking, so I didn't want to interrupt your thought. You want to go ahead?
Trina's got something
going. There's so much going on. I'm like, well, what should we choose? One of the biggest things is that I have found for myself is what Sinclair was talking about too, is taking care of yourself physically, as well as mentally and emotionally, because when other people ask or require things of you, you also have to be that clear container. So for me, what I make sure I do every day is just, whether that is through taking a moment to do breath work and do some breathing, or to go outside and go for a bike ride, or even just stand out when the sun is shining and stand in the sunbeams. Like the other day, I was like, I just need to get out, because I was on the computer all the time, on the phone. And so I went for a bike ride and I found this rock and the sun was shining, and I just laid on the rock and just like, I think I took a 20-minute nap. And it was amazing. But that's one thing, is really also taking care of yourself and honoring yourself, which we'll talk more about that, because I think that's a huge part of this process as well as going inward.
Awesome. Any tip that you can give right now on, besides the bike ride, and getting out in the sun, on honoring yourself? You said you would.
Well, one thing, when you're aware of like all the frenzy and all the angst and everything that's happening, or maybe like you're quarantined in your home with all your kids and it's constant, instead of like resisting it and going into the reaction of it, one action that you can actually take is really pushing down all of those walls, those barriers and everything that we have put up in order to, we think, to deal with it. But like right now, if you even take a moment and think of one person or even one thing, maybe it's money. Maybe there's somebody who's driving you crazy, and put them out here in front of you and actually just allow them in. Instead of fighting it, allow them in. Just be present with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you can just be in the space without the resistance, it just kind of melts.
Mm-hmm.
It just melts that. And that's one thing that I have been using when I get like a lot of angst, or I have like a lot of things I have to be accomplished, because there's lots of things that are changing due to, I also do therapy, and there's lots of things that are changing due to documentation and ways that we do things. So I can get all in my head and get all, and in those moments, I just take that and I be with it and I let it melt. And then that resistance goes away and you're like, oh, because when the more, whatever we resist persists. So the more we fight it, it continues to stay. So that's one tool that I've been using.
That's beautiful. Thank you for walking us through that. Yeah, I can see where that just melts away. It helps melt away. You know, it's allowing that stopping. Just stop, pay attention, right? And
Yeah.
do that. Thank you for that. That was awesome. Thank you, Trina.
Thank you.
Wow, I'm going to encourage all of you out there to try that one. You know, it's so simple, and yet if you just stop and listen and do that allowing and releasing, that will help you. Awesome. Thank you. And Yolanda, what do you have? What has been working for you, you know, during this time? Any stress reduction or coping helpful tools?
Okay, let me give the healthy ones. So
That's good.
I have several things that are working. Mostly things, probably sugar and all that. No, seriously though, I think one of the things Trina said is absolutely accurate. One of the things that help is changing the scenery. I'm having to find myself do that often. I have an office downstairs, but because we're all here and I don't know, everyone is at different places in this journey. I think this may be week 4, maybe going into week 5 for us. So I find myself working upstairs sometimes, working downstairs sometimes, working outside. Or we took a bike hike recently, and that was really good. I think over the weekend, I'm walking, I'm doing more exercise. Those are the self-care things. However, I have several businesses, and some of them really have been impacted drastically by COVID-19. One being a restaurant, we've had to close the doors, and that can be a little stressful thinking about what will the new normal look like. So with that, I tried to use a strategy that I call figuring out what's my emotional GPS signal. Where am I in this emotional journey? And you have to know what zone you're in. Are you in the fear zone, the learning zone, or are you in the growth zone? So knowing that and locating yourself first is super critical. You know, the fear zone looks like the initial stages. Oh my God, we're going to be locked up forever. I've got to go get all the toilet paper and water I can find. Not like you can live off toilet paper or water, but that's what everyone went and got. You know, the learning zone puts you in the place of saying, okay, let me sit down and assess what are the factors I can't control. Now you're just really being strategic about it, and you're really starting to look at it in a more practical, what can you and what can't you control. And once you figured that out and you know where you are and you're accepting that, it's easier to cross over into the growth zone. The growth zone begins to say, it's bigger than me. I'm okay. My family's healthy. We're okay. Who can I help and how can I serve others through this? So I think it's really important to really be honest with yourself about where you are, so that if you are in the fear zone, you give yourself a lot of self-love and you start to de-stress, release some of the anxiety, get some free tools from Trina's website that she mentioned, so that you can move past that fear zone, and then you're into the learning zone where your thoughts are a lot clearer, so that you can start growing from the experience and not rebelling against it.
Awesome. Awesome. I like those 3 stages that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do see people. I mean, I see clients all day long on Zoom now instead of in person in my center. And I do see people in those different sort of stages. In fact, I have felt so called to clear the fear and keep the faith that we did a huge call on that maybe a week or week and a half ago now. I'm going to do it again. I feel called to help people use some tools to help clear the fear and keep the faith right now, because I think that's what's happening on our planet. We are actually being called to take a look at our stuff, to change the patterns, to change it up. So just like you have those 3 stages, the thing that I wrote a blog on this, I called it stop, drop, and roll. So stop what you're doing, be aware, just like Trina and Sinclair and Yolanda are saying here, stop what you're doing and pay attention and listen. So that's the listening of where are you in those stages that Yolanda's talking about, right? And then drop, you've got to drop an old pattern and maybe create a new one. So I'm exercising more and I'm drinking coffee. I'm not sure that's a good new pattern, but hey, it's working, only in the morning. And, and so I'm changing up the pattern. I'm also like cooking breakfast. I made like a big breakfast the other day. I'm like, what's that about? Well, I'm changing up the pattern. I'm changing the pattern. So that's the, stop, drop. So drop the old pattern, start something new, and then roll. We're all being called to roll with the day.
Yeah.
Right? Just be flexible because things are coming in all the time. New information, new this, new that. You kind of have to be able to navigate all of that. So that's what I've been teaching and sharing with people. And of course, I'm so great at clearing energy. So I clear it at the brain soul level. And so I felt like I want to help more people get there. So that's what I'm doing is I'm just doing these big calls. And people got kicked off the call. I had over 100 people. I didn't know I had 100 limit on Zoom. I didn't know that. I just, it's like, so now I feel like, okay, whoever didn't make it that first time, let's do it again. Let's do it again.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
awesome.
the whole part. And I agree with you right now. I feel like there's a big call and a tug to let the fear go and to go in faith. And I find myself, there's the part of me that, is very visible from the marketing with the coaching and the consulting part. But I've been in ministry for over 20 years and I'm a minister first. And I find myself doing more things on the ministry side and on the faith side during these times than pushing the business. It's just caring for the need of the people. I think it's so important. And I'm not resisting it. I'm just rolling with it. I'm rolling with it. We're putting up a new website where we're able to reach leaders of faith and make sure we're getting encouragement out to them consistently. And I'm not putting together a whole business plan around it. I'm just rolling with it because it's just giving it away because the goal is to release the fear and hold on to the faith.
Yes, absolutely. And I love how you're rolling with that. I also have heard the word pray more in the last 3 weeks than I have over the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So people are getting it, whatever their belief is, they're going to that prayer, which is so completely awesome because I really think that's the message. There's a really weird thing that's going through my mind. About 3 years ago, I did a skit at my boot camp. It was a Star Wars skit. And it just really started for fun, and so I got to dress like Yoda. So it was Yoda and Matt was Luke Skywalker and Unji was our dark side. And we were taking people from the dark to the light. And I'm actually asking myself if I had a premonition. I don't know, because that's what I feel like is happening on our planet right now. So that's the spiritual piece, for sure. I'm curious. That's my view. You all might have a different view. What is your view of what's really happening on a more of a spiritual level than, the reality of, hey, people are stuck in their houses, anxiety, depression. We've got to deal with all those. That's real. That's truth. But I'm just kind of curious because I think other people are probably asking those questions too. What does it mean for you? What's the deeper meaning of what's going on here? Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that we are in a true crisis in our culture. And I don't mean that to scare people. I mean that as an incredible opportunity where it's almost a demand to show up for what's really important to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's been a real time of exploration and you know, newness for the last couple of decades, like new improvement this, you know, new technology that, and let's explore. And I think this is a great call to all of us at a soul level to say what's really important to us as the economy does this, as everybody retracts to protect each other and ourselves. We get to really examine what's most important to us, you know, reestablish, if you don't feel connected to spirit on a daily basis, to reestablish that connection and update, you know, as an adult where you are in your life right now, which I'm sure Yolanda can speak to eloquently. And to really put our health first and, you know, our families and our relationships. I don't know about you, but maybe it's just as a health coach, but the American trance of we don't have to take care of ourselves, you know, that'll just happen for us. We don't have to think about how we feed this miracle and take care of it and love it. You know, somebody in a white coat does that, or somebody puts it in a box and I just buy it at the grocery store. That doesn't work right now. And so it's an incredible invitation to remember what's really important to us, regardless of where the Dow Jones is at, all of it.
Right.
So,
Wow. Beautifully said. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's really just kind of hitting us in the face, isn't it? You got to take a look now. You got to take a look. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm amazed with all of it. And I watched it when people went into a frenzy, buying toilet paper and everything else. People forget, especially maybe in our culture, where food actually comes from. It doesn't just come from the grocery store.
Right.
I grew up on a farm. My parents still farm, and they are getting hit by this. But with that, it's given me so much respect for our earth and for what our earth supplies us, and the soil and the air and the water. And that's one thing I'm noticing through this whole process is not like our spirit of ourselves and diving within and getting quiet to find out what like Sinclair was talking about, what really truly we would like to have in our lives and what's important to us, as well as looking at this amazing planet that we live on. I mean, how lucky are we? How grateful are we to have this amazing planet that has all these different cultures around the world? And, we go from the mountains to the oceans we have everything. And it's actually really cool right now. There's some stuff that's happening because everything has quieted. Like there's the Himalayas are peeking through that haven't been seen. There in China, they say the sky is like blue, like there's not as much smog. I've seen something like in Venice where the actual dolphins were swimming up the canals. And I also just saw a video from somebody I knew who lived in Spain where they had big old moose that were walking down the streets. And I'm not saying that's like perfect in every situation, but it's kind of like the animals in the earth are showing up. The animals are like, oh, I can actually be here with you guys now too. And so what I'm also getting with it is how much does our earth also require from us to gift and maybe quiet down a moment, to give her that moment to also heal from the outside of everything that's going on, because she supplies so much for us. And if the earth really didn't want us here, she could kick us off in a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah.
So it's also the willingness to look at that and gift to that life as we also receive from it.
Yes, that's the God loop, I call it.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Thank you, Trina. Yeah, definitely being aware of what Mother Earth is giving us all. And I love how you said about the food, because I think about that as a naturopath too. I'm hoping people are making healthier choices, like Sinclair is doing with her clients in her business, and, really paying attention to where food does come from, and maybe thinking of growing their own garden. You know, somebody said we would be in our house 7 years and then we'd want to go back to the country. And exactly 7 years here in the city of Albuquerque, I was like, I need the farm. So our compromise is a box in the backyard. One of those boxes is probably as big as 2 of my desks, okay, where we can grow our own food. And I've like, I have to plant the box now. I've got to go out there and do this year. You know, I just feel so called to. I remember at Christmas, we had our own spinach. We had spinach at Christmas because you put a cover on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the climate here is not, you know, super cold. It can be winter here, but with the cover on it, you can have vegetables year round. Why not?
The new Victory Garden.
You know, why not? I like that name. I'm going to call it that. Thank you, Sinclair.
All right,
Victory Garden. That's so awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts? Let's see. What have you? I'll ask you. Yeah, you have something, Yolanda. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you asked the question about what's happening spiritually, and I'll say, I think there's definitely messages. Now, I do believe the message will be different depending on the willingness and the open heart of the listener. However, there's a principle that I live by: as it is in the natural, so it is in the spiritual. And when there is something happening naturally, I always take a look to see where's the spiritual alignment, because I recognize and know that I live in this earth, but as spiritual beings, we wrestle not just against flesh and blood. It's something more spiritual attached to it. And so the word that comes to mind for me is detoxing. And I find that many of us are probably detoxing in many ways in life. You've probably started to declutter and you're cleaning things out. You're probably starting to deprioritize things that are not important for you. And there's just a detox of life that's happening. The messages of slow down, the message of what do you really value, getting back in alignment, reestablishing what true baseline should be for your life. I think if we're open and we don't resist the place we're in, and I'm not saying that we embrace the virus, but I am saying that there are some things that are just out of our control. And if it is out of our control for now, and we are in this position, be still, listen and know and hear what your faith is connecting you to. What shift do you need to make? And be okay with the fact that normal may look different for you as you move forward. I think that's a great lesson that we've embraced in this household, is normal is going to look different. I don't care what the government does, and I don't care what bans are being lifted. We're creating a new normal. There's been such a deep level of connection as a family unit. We realize our house is flowing so smoothly because we're not crazy busy right now. And I don't think there's a desire to go back to that. So I do believe that we've detoxed in some way in our life, and spiritually it's probably a message for those of us who are inclined to hear it, and an opportunity for you to do the same.
Wow. Yes. Beautiful. Beautifully said. I love that word, detox. Yeah, it's definitely happened. And I like that your family and your home is flowing differently because there's this space now. You know, I'm thinking that's you know, a theme for many families where, you know, they were taking kids to soccer practice and music lessons and, you know, and all over and having this busy schedule. And now because they can't go anywhere, it's slowed down. And it's an opportunity to reconnect with your family, to reconnect in a deeper way.
And you have to, you said make space. That's so important, because when you think about the element of detoxing, you're usually removing something so that the good stuff can get in. You remove out the toxins so that the good things can get in. And that's essentially what we started looking at. Wow, we need to detox this schedule a little bit. We were all over the place. And so we're going to reprioritize some things, and normal will look different.
Right. Normal will look different. And again, that word detox, you know, I've always seen that too. You know, it's interesting. The naturopath in me, whenever I would put someone on a physical detox, like to detox parasites or detox their body, they would tell me that they cleaned out a closet that weekend. You know, and I started to see the connection between you know, when you're detoxing your life in one area, you're also detoxing in another area. The other thing that I would often see, and maybe that's why not just the feeling of being quarantined is bringing up a lot of emotions and everything that's going on with this virus. But I do know that when we detox physically, we detox mentally and emotionally, and vice versa. So on my biofeedback devices, I'm seeing a lot more parasites come up on people. I thought I'd see virus, but I'm not. I'm seeing parasites, I'm seeing fungus, people who have itchy skin and issues like that before, eczema is coming back, right? Because they're cleansing, they're detoxing, because our whole world is detoxing.
Yeah.
So it's like one big, I'm going to say, frickin' detox. I don't know. You know, it just
You know,
is.
you can't stop. You know, when you
It
think about
is.
when you're going through it, I just had this thought when you said that. When you're going through a detox, I don't know about y'all, but like the first few days, sometimes I feel really drained. As all of it depends on how serious it is, and I'm like, sometimes even my skin doesn't look as great as I want it to look, but I keep going, and eventually there's like this burst of energy that comes, and I feel so much more radiant. It's the same thing. Being quarantined, I can remember the first few weeks, and even a little now, I'm resisting, like, oh, how much longer?
Yeah.
I can't go to the mall. You know, those little selfish things, like having a 2-year-old temper tantrum I am. But the truth is, the things that I'm resisting, the solitude, the sitting still and being quiet, the hearing and the listening are so necessary. They're so necessary for my life. So I just need to let the good stuff in and
Yeah.
let my tantrum go.
Yes.
Oh, you know, you guys are speaking my love language.
I know. I couldn't wait to get to you. I was like, okay, Sinclair's taking this all in, and she's going to have some wisdom for us. So,
Come on, Sinclair, give it up.
you're like the detox queen, right? So, so what are you thinking?
I think of detox as a central metaphor for, like you were saying, flushing out what is no longer working for us, you know, that didn't have an opportunity to leave before. And so we are assisting it out so that the channel is open, right? So that our system can heal itself, so that all that repair work and regeneration can speed up, and all the lights can go back on. So, you know, I see that happening for everybody at a physical level, certainly with our clients and our groups right now, but even in businesses, like, let the inessential fall away. This is such a great moment to chuck what is no longer working. Like you said, it's cleaning out a closet, resetting your relationships, flushing out your body physically. Like, and guys, for everybody listening, we're not saying this like everything's so perfect in what we're doing. Like, that's not what we're saying. Like Yolanda said, we're having those tough moments too. And however you're feeling is okay. It's all part of the detox.
It's part of it.
I got dressed today. I got dressed today and I put on makeup. That is an accomplishment during this stay-at-home order. My kids were like, Dad, you look different. I was like, yeah, I gotta go on camera. I was having a hard time. So no clothes match. I don't care. I'm just here. Leave me alone.
Well, I never put on pants that button anymore. I'm a little concerned about that. I'm in my yoga pants all the time, you know?
I'm telling you, every now and then, you might want to put on a button just to make sure your body isn't rebuking it. Because
I think that's a really good suggestion. I'm going to definitely do that. It was fun to get dressed for work on Tuesday. I actually went into the office. Such a great point, though, Sinclair. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. We're all detoxing, and it's okay. You know, really, it's about accepting the feelings that you're feeling. You know, so you're not going to feel 100% okay, and everything is going to be okay every single minute.
yeah.
And make sure that you're doing the things that actually add to your life force, not deplete, because a lot of our habits in this culture that we're in is like, oh, I'm taking care of myself by eating the crap tub of ice cream that's really just full of chemicals and sugar. And that's not taking care of you at all, because that's depleting your immune system, that's bogging you down, that's giving your body another job to do. So check in instead of numbing out with your behaviors, and make sure that you're adding to your life force. So take that extra second to go, what would really add to my well-being instead of just knocking down the fear a little bit. You know, you deserve better than that.
Right. So it's those questions, isn't it? It's the self-talk and the questions. We're all being, pushed to take a look at our self-talk. What are the questions you're asking yourself? What are you telling yourself? So if you tell yourself you're going to be okay, everything is well. In fact, a tool that I've been using with clients is definitely project yourself out 6 months. What do you want to be doing 6 months from now? See yourself doing it. Feel it. Feel it. Give it color. Smell it. Hear the music. Use the 5 senses about what that picture for you looks like 6 months from now. Because this is a transformation and an up level. The old chaotic energy, which is the old fear, has to spin out. That's why we're seeing more and more people in a place of prayer and bringing in their faith, because they don't have a choice. It's hard to cope if you don't have something to hold on to, right? So that's why you want to picture yourself 6 months out. What do you see yourself doing? It's an opportunity to recreate your new pattern, your new life, your new business, your whatever, right? It's a new way of being. Definitely a new way of being. What are you learning about yourself? So besides, we're talking about the difficulty with this time period and also tools and steps that you guys have all used for your clients and for yourself. But I'm sure there's a juicier, deeper learning that's happening because we're all learning something about ourselves, and there may be patterns that we need to change, or or something's coming up from the past, or the fear of even the future. So we want to take a look at that and maybe help some people here who are listening with getting that introspective voice about what it is that they're learning from this time. So that's kind of my question. What are you learning about yourself at this time?
I mean, I guess I'll go. So one of the things I've been really interested to find that the last few years have been really, really tough. And you guys know part of my story about sort of clawing my way back from really chronic illness. And of course, Michael, my partner, supporting me in that. And what's been interesting is to watch everybody else collectively go through such a hard time and to realize how much more resilient I am than I used to be. So to know that this stuff works and to kind of be surprised that I'm still here. I realized, so any of us that have been through like a really dark time, you'll know it's important to update your stories. And I find myself having to remind myself like, oh, I am well now. And I am safe, even though the world has come to a halt. And I did the work to get here, and it's okay to be well and safe. And then I'm not a sick person anymore. And there's just this weird last sliver that I had to, come to awareness about, where I was still holding on to, I'm the sick one and anything can knock me down. And so I'm a lot more even keeled than I see other people around me being, and I feel guilty about that. And I also know that it's the result of my hard work to rebuild my resilience from the inside out. So that's the truth of everything that's going on for me. It's really interesting.
That's good. Update yourself.
That is really good.
Thank you, Sinclair. That's beautiful. Yeah, and congratulations on being in that place of resilience, and honoring yourself for the work that you did and where you're at. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't actually have an inclination, years ago, even though, when you did first not feel well and got sick, that you were needing to do that before this happened. It's almost like your body and your spiritual body knew that before this time happened to get you resilient to be able to go through this time period. I'm seeing that with some clients, and I'm really feeling it. And it's kind of beautiful. And it's just really bringing us back to that spiritual soul level connection.
Yeah, it's we've never worked more hours than we have in the last few weeks. And I do feel extremely privileged to be alive in this time. Like, okay, now I'm in a position to help.
Yes.
And I wasn't before.
Yes. And you're on that other, there, you're in the phases that Yolanda was talking about earlier. You're in that growth phase, right? You've gone through those other places because you experienced it with another health crisis.
Mm.
Yeah. And I totally can relate, because my old fears about being sick, another little sliver, like you said, has come up to clear, because I wore a mask. I couldn't go to public bathrooms. Chemicals bothered me. Okay. So, here I see everybody wearing masks, and is reminding me, of course, that time period. And so I've had to spin another and work on myself to clear another layer of that, so I can serve at a deeper level, so it's just bringing me back to service and what I'm really here for, in terms of using all of our gifts. We've all have a gift that we're supposed to be using. I mean, my teacher said, if you're not using your gifts, you're dishonoring God. It's this time, isn't it, to use our gifts and to see what they are, to discover them at a deeper level. Yeah.
Give me goosebumps.
Yeah. Yeah, even when I say that, and I've said it several times now, but it does still give me goosebumps too. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And Yolanda or Trina, what are you learning about yourself during this time?
One thing that there's actually several. It's been interesting. Like what Sinclair was talking about has come up for me too, through all the struggles that I've been through. And I've noticed where I've actually made myself wrong for feeling like I'm ahead of the game. Like, and I wouldn't say it that way because it's not a game at all, but like I'm so super blessed and so super grateful to have the tools that I have to use at this time when everybody is like in pandemonium. And I've had a lot, and even the trip that I took right before this, that we got back 2 days before they started closing everything down, what we created there was amazing. And I think it gave us a space to connect to us, ourselves, to humanity as a collective, and to the earth, and to who we are as spiritual beings. And through that, people connect with me, contact me, and they're like, wow, every time you say something to me, it gives me a deep breath. It changes my mindset. And for me, one of the things I'm learning is receiving. I mean, I've been working on that for a long time, but actually just being able to show up with who you are and who you be, and it changes somebody's like liveliness, changes their mindset. That's a huge gift. And I don't think I could have received that so easily before. And same thing as we said, I'm not also saying that every moment through this process has been easy for me, because it's not. Like, I also have my other business as a therapist, and it's pretty much completely shut down. Like, the schools are shut down. Like, so my income is not there. But it's been a really interesting year, because it actually was April of last year when I got the hit that things were not going to be the same, and that the system was going to change. And so I started introducing other things and pulling out of other ways. And that's the other thing that I've gotten through this is like, when you actually can be still and you can actually ask, hey, what do I know about this? And not buy into all the lies about everything, but what do you know? How aware of the future are we? Like, if you're willing to be that, because it's like, I got a year ago that something major was happening, and I started shifting into the change that is showing up now. And I'm like, wow. And you may not know exactly what that is, but when you just tap into, hey, what do I really know about this? Not what everybody else knows, not what everybody's telling me, but what do you know? And I guess that's one of the gifts that I've gotten. I'm like, wow, I actually am so grateful that have sat and listened to what I know so many times that before I would have pushed to the side. Because in that gift, I can be that gift for other people. And help them with, because your point of view really does create your reality.
Yes. And that inner knowing, you're really almost calling, commanding, asking, all of our listeners here as well as us to listen to that inner knowing. What do you know about the situation? And really, I think that's what's being developed here is our stronger intuition, or pushing us to listen to it.
Yes.
So I love those words. I love how you put that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Beautiful. Beautiful. And Yolanda, what are you learning about, yourself or this, world at this time from what's going on in our world?
I would say for myself, I'm going to say that I'm learning even the more how much I'm made for a life of service. I feel like life is still going like this for me. Like where the story began, I'm getting back. You make choices and decisions as you go through life, and sometimes they open up a door, and sometimes they send you back on the path until you come back around again. And that's kind of how I feel. I feel like I'm coming back around to the essence of who I was truly created to be, who God really designed me to be. And Sinclair says she's updating her story, and I kind of feel like for me another chapter is being written to the story. I don't even know if it's an update. It's just more being revealed. We hear, we know line upon line and precept upon precept, and little by little we hear and we know. And I'm finding that in this hour, this season, this trial, whatever you want to call it, that as I'm turning my ear towards God and being open to receive and change the things that He's saying change. Then I'm finding the essence of who I am, the simplicity of it. And it's starting to unfold for me what so many things have been about. The dots are connecting.
Beautiful.
The way I was at, the dots are starting to connect. So, I'm just going to go with it.
I'm just going to go with it.
Your word was, I'm a roll. I'm just going to roll with it.
I love it. We're going to roll with it. Well, all of you are saying that you're really listening, doing this deeper listening now, listening to your intuition, and trusting it, which is so beautiful, and modeling that. And hopefully, our listeners here who are hearing this, that it perks some conversation within themselves to also do that deeper listening. Like Trina said, what do you know? What do you know? Not what's you're being told. Listen, and what do you know? And as Yolanda's saying here, it's, she's being really called to listen on a deeper level to find that bigger life of service and her true calling and her path, and Sinclair is seeing this other place in her life where she's like now, reaching this new place, and almost another little piece is being written too for you. So it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I really think that's the biggest message here right now for all of us is that deeper listening, and going with it, going with the flow, right? We've got to go with the flow. You don't have a choice. So we're being called to have a higher level of faith. It's pushing us. If you're here, it's pushing you here. It's pushing you here to have that faith and that trust, that trust that we all need. If you were going to leave our listeners with one tip, so I'm just going to ask you what that one little tip might be to sort of navigate what's going on through this world with COVID-19 and this interesting time that we're in. What would that be?
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Okay.
Pay attention, yeah.
Awesome. Pay attention. Okay. Thank you, Yolanda. Anybody else here?
So I would say stand up for what you believe in. Don't just listen to the headlines. Stand up for what you value, the well-being of your family, how you can serve your customers, all of it. Show up, because this is where the exciting stuff is right now in this moment.
Beautiful. Okay, stand up for what you believe in. Beautiful. Thank you, Sinclair. And how about you, Trina? One tip.
Well, I would say one, listen. Like we've been talking about, really listen. Listen to yourself. And with that, what's one thing that's helped me as a tip is, what if everything could just be interesting in this moment? Like, and what I mean by that, instead of like having to align with something and agree with it, or even resist or react to it, like we were talking about at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
what if it could just be like, huh, that's really interesting? Because that puts you in a space of allowance, and that allows things to change. Because the more you resist it, you can't change it. You've aligned and agreed with it. You've already created a fixed point of view around it. So interesting point of view, that I have that point of view.
Beautiful. I love how you're such a good observer of yourself. You know, I mean, that's all I'm seeing as I'm listening to you. You're like, you can take yourself out here and just watch, you know,
Yeah.
watch yourself. And so such good tips. These are amazing, amazing tips. I would just add, stay in a place of grace and gratitude, you know,
Yes.
see the butterfly on the plant and just be so appreciative that that butterfly is flying around, you know, in your yard, you know, or people have said to me, gosh, you know what, I've taken walks and I've never heard so many birds. You know, we have all these birds in my neighborhood. I love these birds, you know, so we're paying attention to those, you know, the beauty around you, for sure. Well, thank you all. You are amazing, amazing, powerful women. I hope that for all of you listening, that we have imparted some wisdom here and, you know, gave you something to think about, and also maybe lifted up your day a little bit, you know, and helped you be on that path of really healing yourself on a deeper level right now and getting your powerful, positive healing for life. So thank you for being here, everyone. And until next time, have an awesome day.
Thank you.